Hello and welcome to Worlds Collide, the D&D 5e podcast where my siblings and I play a game about a bunch of various fantasy characters who have been pulled into this world to help save it. I'm Mike Brown. I'm going to keep this intro pretty quick. I just wanted to say hello, thank you for listening, and let us know what you think. First, we find ourselves in a bit of a hut. It is dark night outside, and there is a small crackling fire in the middle. Next to the fire, someone is using a mortar and pestle to create an herbal poultice that is presumably used for healing. They are being watched over. It is clear that there's some sort of apprentice, and there's some sort of mentor observing them create this salve, and it's just a silent, almost meditative experience for the both of them. Niatu, would you like to describe yourself?
I am Niatu. I am a member of the Na'vi people on the planet of Pandora. My tribe is in the Cloud Forest. We're a very private tribe. I am approximately 9 feet tall. My skin is blue with dark blue stripes. My hair is very long and braided, goes down to about my thighs. And I do have one long braid for the bond. My eyes are bright yellow. I do have some piercings. I have 2 nose piercings and a septum piercing. My clothing is a loincloth made from leather and animal hide. And I am only wearing something just to cover my chest area. It's regalia of my tribe that all the women wear. I am always barefoot everywhere that I go. And that's the only clothing that I do wear. And I am an apprentice healer.
As you return a bowl to the wooden shelf next to you, you brush against a small vial. It begins to fall to the floor. Can I get a dex save? Wait. First roll of the game.
11, so 18.
18. So with an 18, you're able to catch it and put it back up on the shelf. And so you sit without conversation, just working for a length of time that would make many uncomfortable. Your mentor reaches for a shelf and pulls down a jar. She uncorks it and uses 2 fingers to grab a bit of a thick green paste, which she scrapes off on the side of your mortar. You are struck by the pungent smell, which makes you retch a bit as she laughs. Suddenly, the world around you slows to a halt, as if time was frozen. You can still move, but everything else is still. Out of the unnaturally stagnant fire, you begin to see a head, then a torso rise up. It appears to be some sort of Na'vioid elemental creature who is not quite corporeal, but is not quite incorporeal. It reaches its hand out to you with its palm facing upward.
I grab it.
All right. Now, we are outside shortly after dawn. There's a sort of horseshoe-shaped amphitheater where 30 or so people sit on a raised dais, all facing inward. They look mostly human, but you wouldn't be surprised if there was some giant blood somewhere in their lineage. The people span decades in age, a spectrum of gender expressions, and a palette of skin shades. The people seem to be upset, and through the din of voices, you hear people yelling things like,
"We have agreed. The most senior member of each family sits on the council. And as the youngest member of this council, she is the leader.
And
she's a menace. If her bloodline was stronger, her parents would have survived that White Walker attack.
And
we are free people. You are not obligated to stay with this tribe if you don't agree with our ways."
At the head of this horseshoe, one seat stands slightly higher than the others. Milla, would you like to describe yourself?
Milla is very pale in complexion. She has freckles. She has reddish-brown curly hair, and her eyes are blue. She has a scar across her chest from a battle that happened a few years ago. She wears all leathers and furs. She has a lot of accessories, which isn't typical amongst the free people, but she's a little bit on the rebellious side. And she's new to council as her parents recently passed in battle. She only wears an axe across her waist, which is called Breathtaker. That's been passed down to her through generations. She has a very different way of leading than the people typically like to see, but she's trying to make big progressions amongst the tribe.
So how do you address this chaos?
She addresses the chaos by she gets up and everybody silences and she walks off.
Okay. So as you turn to walk off, you notice behind you a group of 100 or more soldiers crest over the horizon, barreling towards your meeting place. Your tribe springs into action, ready to defend what they have. As you reach for your axe, Breathtaker, you notice a runner pull ahead of the pack, drop to one knee, and knock and loose an arrow directly at you. Make a strength save.
12, so 18.
You are able to quickly reach down and
Yep.
grab Breathtaker and pull it in front of your face
Yep.
to block the arrow. And you brace for the ting of the arrow hitting the axe, and you hear nothing. And as you lower Breathtaker, you see the arrow sitting in the air, and everything around you grinds to stillness. You notice that you can still move, but the battle that was unfolding around you sits like a tableau. From the middle of the crowd, you see a frightening creature emerge. It has the body of a lion, but above the front legs, a humanoid torso stretches upward, still covered with fur and still keeping those leonid facial features. As it approaches you, it stretches out its massive paw, pads facing skyward.
I walk towards this creature and I look them in the eyes, trying to assess who they are.
They kind of just look at you and just look at their hand and then look back at you.
Is there something in their hand?
It's just an empty hand.
I take their hand.
You grab their hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, it is a clear morning with sunlight peeking through the canopy of leaves sheltering the forest. Something is different here. Colors and textures seem vibrant and flat. A busy brook weaves its way around tree trunks and rocks. There's a sing-songiness to the wind, almost like a distant plucking of an instrument lends its merriment to the world. In the woods, you see an unconventional creature that seems to be playing hide-and-seek with a squirrel. N64mo, what are we looking at?
I'm sorry, what?
I come from the land of Oo. I am the oldest and only elder of the Moes. I possess the power of accessing other realms through plugging them into my consciousness. I have a small crack on my outer shell from my past that I don't want to get into. My outer shell is clear purple, and I possess many attachments for my weapons that I have procured through the ages.
And can you describe to the people sitting in the room the real-life item that you look exactly like?
Nintendo 64.
Did not see this coming.
I like that light purple.
Oh yeah, those are the best.
You look around, darting from tree to tree and peeking behind them to find your playmate. So give me a perception check.
20.
Hey!
Nat 20?
Nat 20? First 20 of the campaign.
Wow.
All right.
Get it.
Dang.
So you both the switches kind of flip down as if you were closing your eyes, and you focus, and through what means we will decide at another time, but you hear a little bit of rustling in the leaves above you, and you look up and you see the squirrel is there, and it just starts chattering like crazy as if it was laughing and jumps down into a hug. At this moment, you are jolted from the revelry as thunder crashes nearby. Lightning strikes a nearby tree and flames start billowing from a split trunk. As you watch, it begins to spread to other trees in the area. Next, you see a wall of rain approaching. It is creeping towards you slowly. You run in the opposite direction since even a tiny bit of water can short your circuits. The rain chases you until you come to a cliff that's too high to climb. It stretches hundreds of feet in either direction. You're powerless, pun intended, to do anything other than turn away and wait for the storm to catch you. You feel the air change as the tempest is just a couple feet from you when the sound stops. The stark contrast of silence in the place of rain and thunder is undercut by the sight of raindrops no longer falling, filling the air in front of you. From behind a tree, you notice a tall ear starting to poke out. Then another one, followed by a head. This creature doesn't look like it belongs in your world. The colors aren't flat, and the light seems to wrap around it as it reveals the rest of its body from behind the trunk. A short snout-like nose sits in the middle of its face, directly above two long buck teeth that square off at the end. The ears that had given it away stand straight up and are covered in tawny fur. Its long pawed feet hop toward you, and it holds its hand out, wiggling its fingers toward the halted clouds.
I take its hand.
Okay. Suddenly, we're underwater. It's hard to tell which way is up in the endless pool. The only light seems to be ambient, with no hint of a sun. Out of the depths rise several pillars, submerged towers with doors and windows suggesting the presence of rooms inside. A figure is swimming up to a downward-facing door, accompanied by a small metal companion. Gar, can you describe yourself?
My name's Gar Killian. My skin is like a dark purple. I have purple eyes that are lighter than my skin, but not too bright. I have black tattoos on the left side of my face in the pattern of kind of like diamond-shaped dots in different areas around my left eye. I just have rough leather or cloth clothing on and one lightsaber.
And if someone were to look at your small companion, what would they see?
A little baby droid that can sort of fit in the palm of my hand. A little bit bigger. Keep it at that for now.
Cool.
Yeah.
You grasp the large circular handle in the center of the door, and it doesn't budge. With a moment of apparent meditation, you close your eyes and focus on the door. You attempt to open it once again, and this time the handle moves effortlessly, as if it were granting your request for entrance. You pull yourself up into the chamber and are immediately thrust into nostalgia as the scent of your former master fills the room. It is poorly lit, and the only sound you can hear is the dripping of your clothes onto the floor. There are various desks with electronic and mechanical devices. Some look like tools, some look like projects in varying stages of completion. And after a few moments scanning the room, your eyes land on a stack of papers, seemingly hiding something on one of the desks. As your eyes adjust, you notice the papers look like a repair maintenance manual. The top of the first page bears a bold PB-1. Excited, you gather the pages and begin to put them away when you notice the item they were covering. The black and silver cylinder is unmistakable to you. You grab it and you suddenly feel the universe give you a frantic warning. You turn to a window just in time to see a missile careening towards you. Helpless, you brace for impact. And give me a dex save.
16 plus 3. 19.
Oh.
You're all rolling good
Wow.
today. You clutch tightly as you feel the impact on the wall. A bright light fills the room, and you manage to hold onto the pages of the PB-1 manual. The blinding light flash closes your eyes for you, and as you rocket toward the back of the workshop, you stop. Shrapnel and flames stand frozen in the air around you. As you realize you're floating, physics seems to realize it too, and you drop to the floor. You see a creature slowly pull itself into the room with you. Scaly skin with two beady black eyes, a long thin neck that runs into a hard hexagonally patterned shell. In the dim light, it looks to be green and brown. It ever so slowly makes its way to you. As it gets close, it reaches out a fingerless hand.
I guess I grab it.
We then encounter a seemingly endless stretch of desert. The wind whips the sand into merciless tendrils that strike at the face of a man standing in the doorway of a long abandoned library. The landscape is littered with half-broken houses and shops. These are ruins from another age, with most of the buildings missing one or more of their original outer walls. The man looks old, but not nearly as old as his presence conveys. He stands slightly over 6 feet tall with deep, ebony skin. His clothing is a rich, almost unnatural blue, and is mostly robes and a turban covering the hair on top of his head. He also has a jet black, bushy beard, which peeks out from under the mask he's using to shield his mouth and eyes from the sand's bite. He steps inside. A gnarled walking stick in his left hand helps him navigate the creaking and loose floorboards as he starts down an aisle. He lets the mask fall, taking his first deep breath in days. Since the roof is torn away in places, he can see just enough to navigate. At the end of this row, he spies what he came here for. An ancient but ageless tome with a gold emblem bearing 2 trees on the spine. In his excitement, he forgets his peril and neglects the walking stick. It is too late when he feels the floor start to fall out beneath him. Until suddenly, it stops. Everything stops. The wind, the sand, the breaking floorboard, the world around him freezes like a painting. From around the end of the bookshelf he was heading toward comes a small creature. Human in shape, but about waist high with spindly arms and a disproportionately large head. It has skin of bluish gray and completely white eyes, like 2 emotionless pearls protruding from his face. It approaches and holds out an upturned hand. The man glances toward the book he was hunting and frantically grabs it. It doesn't yield as he pulls and pulls, trying to wrench it from the shelf. Eventually, he realizes there is magic at play here, more powerful than he can understand. He looks at the creature and puts his hand into theirs. As soon as each of you takes their respective hands, your homes start to spiral and fade away. Niatu, Milla, and Gar, you feel a deep pull in your stomachs. Your body itself doesn't feel like it's moving, but you all feel like you're swirling out of control, detached from time and space. You begin to see flashes, almost as if you're shifting in between different worlds. You see a world made seemingly of different metals. Copper and gold mountains tower above boiling oceans of mercury. Then that fades, and you see a turbulent, never-ending sea with forested islands dotting the horizon and a starlit sky at night. Then a bright sunny field of grass in all directions with daisies popping up every few feet. And a world of floating mountains and trees that just sit in space without any ground beneath them. Then you find yourself in a saturated 2-dimensional world where a baby with a football-shaped head and British accent is singing a provocative show tune-style song with a white-speaking dog. You see a world where everything seems to just be puzzle pieces. You see a world that appears to be rain against a black background. No ground, no sky, just rain and black in all directions as far as you can see. You see a room with a few rounded tables and a couple vending machines where 2 co-workers seem to be having a disagreement. Before you are pulled away, you hear, "Boy, have you lost your mind? 'Cause I'll help you find it." There's a world where everything and everyone seems to be made of crayon wax. A world where the ground is just smoldering and there are pillars of smoke rising all over the place and mountains in the distance and clouds and lightning that seem not to connect to anything. You go past a world that is completely black, but for some reason you can see all these different types of black, and it's black on black, and they're all the same shade, but you can tell the difference, like you're seeing all of these new colors for the first time. And you get pulled away from that and find yourself in a very large hall. All of you are standing on a circular dais in the center of the room. At the edge of the stage, there's a short drop, and the floor goes for about 10 feet more before stairs bring it back up to your level. Around you are 12 massive seats, each one holding a different massive being. The one to the north stands. He appears to be, or is wearing, a suit of pristine white and gold armor. He must be 200 feet tall. He keeps his helmet shut and addresses you. As if from everywhere and nowhere, his voice booms.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. I presume introductions are in order. We are the Synod, the 12 gods of this realm. My name is Cord, and I will be speaking on our behalf. It appears that the very essence of our world is dwindling. Slowly we are fading. As the creators of Zepha, we have observed realms beyond our own. You have been chosen because you each hail from a land not dissimilar to ours. We are hoping you can stop our world from dying and restore it to its glory once again. We are regretful that we had to take you from your homes, but we are running out of time. The magic in Zepha is disappearing. Few adventures are had, and fewer fantastical events occur. If the magic is not used, it starts to lose its power. Adventures and fantasy recharge it, and we're asking you to bring some of that back to our beloved world.
And Niatu says,
"Why are we the ones who were chosen?"
There's something special about each of you, a spark, like a little piece of you that belongs in a world other than your own.
Niatu nods.
And Milla says, "What choice did you give us when you froze our entire world?"
There is no other way.
Whatever, dude. I'll help.
Cord starts to nod and then looks at the remaining 4, and the man who was in the desert says, "This is very different to me. I'm interested in learning about your world. I will go too." Cord says,
We will help you along the way and provide you with a guide. We are just asking for 1 year, and we will return you to your worlds. And no time will have passed until you return.
Cool. If no time will pass, then I'm in.
Cord nods again.
This is going to delay my training. I'm going to forget everything that I've learned. And looking around, I have never seen the likes of any of you before. How are we going to work together and do this?
Are you doubting my abilities?
I don't even know who you are. How am I to know your abilities?
I'm standing eye to eye to you. I have Goliath in my blood. You should know that.
Damn.
My people have existed for thousands of years. We have existed in peace, but we are also masters in combat and healing. If you want to go head to head about where we come from, I can.
And Cord goes,
You can go with them or stay here, but it will be a year before you return to your world.
I take a great pride in my healing, and if it is healing this world that you need, then I will partake.
Cord nods again and kind of focuses on the small electronic device who has been rather quiet.
N64 Mo says, "I come from lands of many adventures, and I know I can be of help."
Cord says,
Thank you. We will send you to our greatest city. There, we hope you can begin to spread your adventurous deeds and encourage others to do the same. When you arrive, look for your guide. His name is Lairn, and he will make himself known as soon as you meet. Again, thank you.
and you feel that same feeling of plane shifting while you observe countless more worlds. When you finally stop, you're standing on the side of a busy street. There's music and hustle and bustle all around as horse-drawn carts make their way this way and that, passing in front of shops and stands. Across the street, you spot a group of 3 dogs closing in on a small but angry cat. They are barking and gnashing their teeth at it. Before you can even think of stepping in, a 4th dog comes out of nowhere and puts itself between the cat and its harassers, barking furiously. As if spellbound, the 3 dogs turn tail and run away, terrified. Before even acknowledging the cat, the dog's eyes meet yours. It instantly begins to wag its tail and bounce across the street, stopping in front of you. It starts to bark conversationally as it sits, looking at you expectantly.
Niatu bends down to greet the dog and gives it a good pet.
It seems a little confused at first, and then, in a moment of realization, the dog puts its paw on its head, and you begin to see it change. Its frame grows tall and thin, Its gray fur gives way to robes of deep emerald and gold. Its ears lose their flop but retain their pointiness. Its snout melts away into a chiseled, friendly smile. Before you stands a paragon of poise and perfection with an air of elite grace. He says,
"Well, golly, I forgot you can't understand me when I'm a little fuzzball. I'm Laird. I've been waiting for you."
All right, again, thank you so much for listening. Worlds Collide is Ryan Brown as Gar, Alex Brown as N64mo, Alyssa Brown as Niatu, and Melina Agbanyo as Milla. Then, of course, I'm Mike Brown. I am the Game Master, and this episode featured additional voices by Chris Coleman. Thanks, Chris. Recording, sound design, mixing, and mastering have been done by me, Mike Brown, for Ember Studios, LLC. Additional info and relevant music licenses can be found in the episode description. We're going to be coming back at you every 2 weeks, so make sure you subscribe, follow, whatever it is on the podcast platform that you choose. And come and hang out with us a couple times a month and enjoy the game that we're playing. Thanks. Its gray fur gives way to robes of deep emerald and gold. Deep emerald and gold. Not the Cajun chef.
Cajun?
You just